Raven dancing. And listen, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. Raven dancing is as good sometimes as Raven maths. But we are live streaming. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. Listen, guys, I can't believe what was happening today. I saw something that I never thought I would see. Storm clouds are gathering. We are going to be fighting wars on two fronts. That is the inevitability. People are talking about this. I heard this now on the macro. I went to a Remembrance Day parade today, and I heard, saw, felt people. And listen, guys, you are not alone. We know this is coming. It's the inevitable. But batten down the hatches, get a cup of tea, get a bacon sandwich, and get ready. Look, before I get onto that, I just want to talk about Remembrance Day. And I was like 50-50 whether I was going to divulge this with you guys. But I thought, you know what, we're feeling it. There's a lot of love on this channel. So I was at the parade today, and when you give your 2 minutes, I always think about the same thing. So for me, I always think about the same thing. You know, that 2 minute silence thing. I always think about the same thing, and it's not what you would think. I always think about this same thing, and I need to be very careful about what I'm saying here because I'm still under non-disclosure agreements with the military. So first of all, I'm going to caveat this, and I'm going to say that what I'm about to tell you is for entertainment purposes, and it may or may not be real. It may just be for entertainment purposes. But I'm going to let you guys know what I always think about for entertainment purposes, of course. You know, on the when you have that 2 minute silence, there was a job in a country. And we two Chinook CH-47 helicopters were coming into this job. The one that I was on, the landing zone that we went to land on, there were people shooting up, and it was a hot DZ. We couldn't land there, and literally people, there were bad guys shooting up, and it would have been carnage. So we had to go and land where the other helicopter had already landed because the troops had disembarked on the first helicopter, and we were getting off. As we ran off the second helicopter, we were still taking incoming rounds, and two people, as soon as they got off the helicopter, they were look, guys, you guys watch movies and you see all this like really covert stuff, like the helicopter lands and these guys get off with their rifles. It's not like that in real life, guys. Trust me, it's not. It's chaos. As a helicopter comes down, there's a brownout. You can't see shit. Literally, you can't see that far in front of your eyes, guys. You can't see a thing. You run off the back of the helicopter. It's just chaos. It's absolute chaos until the helicopter's gone, and maybe 2-3 minutes later until the dust settled. So you have to get away from that. Anyway, as we ran off the back of this helicopter, two people got hit with incoming fire. Now, these two people were attachments. And I always think, I don't know what the odds are. I mean, there's 60 people now landing at the same, 60 people are landing at the same helicopter landing site. 60 people are running off the back of these helicopters. And the only two people that get hit are the attachments. And that's what I always think about, guys. Every Remembrance Day, I always think about that particular. I mean, we used to do lots of jobs, like maybe 2-3 a week, a similar intensity. And I always think about those two guys that got the good news on that day. I always think, what are the odds? I don't look, guys, I can't even do the Raven maths, but what are the odds of those two guys, the attachments that were not part of our unit, they were attached? What are the odds? Because it's chaos when you run off the back of an helicopter, guys. It is. You can't see. It doesn't matter how tactical you are. It doesn't matter what night vision goggles you've got on. It doesn't matter what rifle you're carrying. It all goes to shit. And that's what I always think about on Remembrance Day. I always think about those two guys. And I don't know if there's any bigger meaning, or there's something I don't know, some spiritual meaning to it. I want to think there is some spiritual meaning to it, but then my logical mind comes in and it says, no, Sean, it was just the odds. It was just bad luck for those guys. But then I keep coming back to the reality. There were 60 people. We had 2 attachments, and both of them got hit coming off the helicopter on that particular job. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's my little Remembrance Day spiel. Let's get back to business, ladies and gentlemen, because there are storm clouds gathering. 2 wars are inevitable. If you live in the United Kingdom, I'm focusing this on if you live in the United Kingdom, we're focusing the war in Europe and the war internally. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me just get on to this, guys, because so much stuff is happening right now. And, we really can't hide this. We really can't hide what's going on in the world because it's there for all to see. So I guess let's just start. So picture this, ladies and gentlemen. Can you? Right, guys. Before I start, we are triple streaming, ladies and gentlemen, this morning, this evening, this afternoon, whatever time it is. We are triple streaming. So you guys on TikTok, you only get the first bit. Now you only get the first bit because I've got a little carbonated. It's still carbonated. I've got a little carbonated drink here that I'm going to continue to drink. I can't do that while I'm on TikTok, so I'll get the live stream banned. So for you guys on TikTok, I will be jumping over to YouTube and X because we are triple Odin Drva Chituri or Wahad. What is it? Wahad Thnian Klathe. We are triple streaming. We're on YouTube, we're on X, and we are on TikTok. So I will be doing the first part of this live stream on all 3 platforms. I'll be then turning you guys off on TikTok, and I'll be going over to YouTube and X. I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube. I'm the Real Raven 1 on X. I'd love you guys to show your support over there. But if you don't, that's absolutely fine. I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 10. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's continue. So picture the scene. Remembrance Day 2025. It was a wild one, guys. And if you guys have seen the videos, the turnout was huge. So, this is me, Raven. I was standing there, there was a sea of red poppies. And I've never seen this before. Honestly, guys, I promise you the turnout I saw today, I've never seen anything like that. Local schools had made red poppies, and there were veterans and serving service members. Is that the right term? The turnout was bigger than I really had expected. The local businesses were out there, and again, this had everything that I've said. Look how I'm clenching my fist because I mean it. I mean it because I'm clenching my fist. That's a tell, guys. I've talked about right. Let me get onto this, guys. So I don't want to jump into other live streams. So local businesses were there handing out free bacon sandwiches and, cups of tea. Maybe it was like Ration Day, Britain Reborn. There were veterans in berets with the medals. And, look, guys, and I'll be honest with you guys, I'm some people are into that. I'm not. To be honest, I don't even know where my medals are. That, and I know a lot of veterans like that. Yeah, I'm not one of these people who turns up to these events and, and with the beret on and everything. I don't do that. I will turn up to the events and I'll be in the background. I'll show my respects. I don't feel that I need to make a Christian. People are different, guys, okay? And please respect my differences. Anyway, I don't feel I need to be that guy. But there were veterans out there in berets. There was medal clinking. Kids were out there. There was a lot of kids, guys. A lot of kids waving flags like it was Victory in Europe Day. But beneath the pomp and the pageantry, there were whispers. Believe me, ladies and gentlemen, there were whispers. A low murmur. Crowds talking, gravitating towards the same topics, the same conversation topics. Old soldiers trading stories of the Eastern Front, not 1945, but today. Talk of Russia amassing on Europe's edge. Operation Unthinkable. Churchill's plan to finish off Stalin is now being dusted off in hushed tones. We never finished the job. It's our grandchildren's turn. That's where we are right now, guys. And if you guys don't know, there was an actual operation called Operation Unthinkable. So after the Second World, I love Churchill. What a fantastic guy. So after the Second World War, Winston Churchill, he saw the threat from the Soviet Union, and he understood what was really happening. You know, he obviously got the up-to-date intelligence. And what Churchill's, you guys can go Google this yourself, Operation Unthinkable. So at the end of the Second World War, Churchill wanted to turn around and go straight after the Russians. He didn't want to have a rest. He's like, no, we need to finish the Russians off. Look, guys, whether you agree with that or not, I personally do. Churchill wanted to finish off the Russians. Now, again, it's totally up to you guys whether you agree with this or not. I personally do. It was called Operation Unthinkable. So what he was going to do, Churchill was going to say, right, we've got all the troops in Europe right now. We've got all these German soldiers who are, you know, they're good guys. We're going to bring them in. We're going to say, look, you know, that those guys are gone. You guys are with us now. Let's go that way. You guys want to do it anyway with Operation Barbarossa. Let's finish this smoky gun wagon. That's a real thing, guys. And, you know, a couple of years back, I got invited down to the, is it the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? Is it Ministry of Foreign Affairs? I don't know. Somewhere in Westminster. In another world, when I used to work for another company, when I wasn't giving you guys real-time analysis, I got invited down to, I think it is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I think it's the Foreign Office or whatever. It's probably I think it's the Foreign Office now or the FCDO. I don't know. We had a meeting in this room, and one of the guys said, "Oh, Sean, you've not been here before." I was like, "No, I've not been here before." He said, "Oh, well, this was Churchill's war room," and he said, "Many dastardly plans have been hatched in this room." Anyway, I won't tell you the outcome of that meeting or what was spoken about, but you know, I was in that room anyway. So it does look like these things are moving forwards, and it does look like the grandchildren are going to have to finish the job of their grandfathers, or maybe even their great-grandfathers. Anyway, so every day, ladies and gentlemen, so what am I talking about here? So let's just jump back to the United Kingdom. That was today. Every day in the United Kingdom, I think we've had like a 24-hour. I do think we've had a 24-hour gap though. So every day, the papers in the United Kingdom are screaming: grooming gangs, stabbings, young girls murdered in broad daylight, illegal boats washing up on the Kent beaches like driftwood. The government, deaf, incompetent, I would say complicit. And the reason I'm saying he's complicit, I don't want to get Lucy Conlid. The previous videos I've said where the government are complicit, where we're talking about videos where the life jackets are being sent back over. We've seen videos online of the rubber dinghies being sent back over to France. So I don't know what other word to use than complicit. And people are not just angry, guys. They're not. And I witnessed this today in real time. People are not just angry, they are awake. Like in 1939 when the blackout curtains went up and the home guard formed in village halls. Only this time, the enemy is already in the wire. This war that we're heading towards, it's not going to be one war. It's not going to be fought on one front. It will be two. There's going to be two fronts coming, guys. I promise you. You know, and if you guys don't look, guys, and if you're on here for the first time, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I know I don't do this enough, guys, but you know, hit the buttons down below. You guys on TikTok, you know, if you're gonna jump over to YouTube, hit the bell, whatever buttons you guys need to press, guys. If you're on TikTok, they're up like here somewhere because I'm on there. If you guys on YouTube, they're like down below. And if you guys are on X, I don't even know where they are on X. But anyway, we're not heading towards a conflict on one. We're not heading towards one conflict right now. We're heading towards two, guys. Just If you don't, if you just bear with me on that before you pass judgment. Oh, Sean, we're not. Just look back through my previous videos at the things I've said when they happen. Guys, honestly, there's nothing I'm more sure about than this. So the first war front that people of the United Kingdom, Great Britain, the beautiful Kingdom of the United, is going to be Europe. Russian tanks are, right now as we speak, ladies and gentlemen, Russian tanks are rolling west. That's the reality. Earlier on this morning on the live stream, I showed you how quickly they're moving forward. And, you know, there's not this lightning movement. No, it's a slow, methodical, inevitable push. That is the reality of what's happening in Eastern Europe right now, guys. Britain is going to be dragged in to finish what we started 80 years ago. And I'm calling that now, you know, back in, you know, at the end of the Second World War, Winston Churchill called for Operation Unthinkable, which was going to be the United Kingdom, the Allied forces, the Germans, the Europeans, taking down Russia. Didn't happen. Everybody was pussies. Nobody had the appetite for it. It was like, Winston, we've literally just won the Second World War. We need to calm down. And Winston was like, no, we want more war. Ultimately, guys, you know, we've got those debts to settle. And that's where we are right now. You know, the war in Europe is inevitable. Absolutely. I think Andrew Bridgen, guys, I don't know if you guys follow Andrew Bridgen or not. Andrew Bridgen's in Germany at the moment, and he posted on X, I think it was this morning, or maybe yes, I don't know. He posted recently. And he said, I've just spoke to a major German car manufacturer, and he says, sales are really low this year, but we're not worried because next year we're going to be making tanks. It's up to you guys how much to take from that. So that's going to be the first conflict, guys. That's going to be the first front. Europe, the war with Russia in Eastern Europe. And I'm talking about the United Kingdom. You guys in America, you guys are totally different. I'll do a separate live stream for you guys, maybe tomorrow or something. The second front is going to be on our streets. So when all the soldiers are gone, the people that are left behind, we're going to have a war on our streets, guys. I promise you, make no bones about this. There is a war coming on our streets. Luckily for you guys in the United Kingdom, you guys have got Raven. And Raven's still here. You know, I'm still hitting those airborne forces targets. So there's going to be a war on our streets, ladies and gentlemen. A tidal wave of illegal migration is here. You know, it's at this point, I don't even right now, I don't even get worried about it not being stopped. I'm like, yeah, it's inevitable. The inevitable is going to happen. So whether it's 1 million, 2 million, 10 million, it's going to happen. Let's just get it over with. I'm not even worried. I don't even care about it being stopped. That, you know, I know it's not going to happen. I just want to get it over and done with. There is a tidal wave, ladies and gentlemen, of illegal migration. Unvetted, unchecked, overwhelming, communities are fractured, and trust is shattered. That's the reality. That is the absolute reality, ladies and gentlemen, living in the United Kingdom right now. The tide is turning. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, I felt it today. I felt it. What did Galadriel say? The world is changing. I feel it in the air. I feel it in the water. I feel it in the earth. The world is changing. It started with the the world is changing. That's the reality. The tide is changing. Are bacon sandwiches a last taste of the old country? The Union flags I don't think they're going to be I don't think the Union flags anymore are going to be a sign of nostalgia. I think they're going to be a battle standard. That's quite powerful. That needs to go on a t-shirt. People look back at the Union flag, and look, guys, I've seen enough of my friends coffins draped in a Union flag to understand that sometimes that's all you have. The hope. And sometimes it's a fool's hope, but hope nonetheless. And hope's a powerful thing. It's also a dangerous thing. And I do think those Union flags, I saw lots of them today, guys, the Union flags. I don't think those are going to be nostalgia anymore. I think that is going to be a battle standard. I really do. And I've said this quite a few times. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. But storm clouds are gathering. The question isn't if, it's when. And where will you stand? Will you stand on the side of wokery and everybody's equal and equality? Like the girls are being taught at school, actually, about equality and equity. And they're being taught at school. And I just had to say, right, stop. We was having dinner earlier. We was having what was we having? We was having one of those. I got one of those, like, it was like a pasta bake dish. It was from Aldi. It was like $3.99, but it was like quite a big one. I thought, right, you know what? I'm just going to grab that and I'll just throw it in the oven. Honestly, guys, it was fantastic. Like it was fantastic. Anyway, sorry. I'm going on a side quest. The girls were telling me today at school they're learning about equality and equity. They're saying, oh, equity is when everybody gets what they need. If people can work harder, then they should. I'm like, go bullshit yourself. If motherfuckers don't want to work and they don't want to get out of bed in the morning, they shouldn't be able to wear the same clothes, drive the same cars, live in the same houses, go to the same pubs, bars, and restaurants as those people that get out of bed every morning and push drive to succeed. And I just flipped with the girls earlier on. Anyway, let's continue. So storm clouds are gathering, guys. You know, there's no denying it. It's not a question of if, but it's a question of when. And where will you be? On what side of that? On what side of that? You know, on what side of that? How do I put it? You know, are you going to be on the side of equity, where everybody's the same and we all deserve the same and we should all do left, right, Z, or are you going to be on the side of, you know what, we actually need to keep our what's mine's mine. If you want it, try and take it. Where are you on that? Where are you on that concept, guys? So let me just break down these little things. These are the two fronts again, guys, okay? So first of all, the external. Russia is not hiding this anymore, ladies and gentlemen. They're not. The Russians are not hiding this anymore. They've got conscription. They've got hypersonic missiles. The Baltic states are next. Poland's next. We don't know what's coming next, but what we do know is when militaries both grow in size, war is inevitable. Those of you guys who've been watching this channel for a while, I've been saying that I think this will start and happen by accident. But, you know, I guess time will tell. Poland are buying tanks. They're buying, Poland are literally buying everything. Germany's rearming, you know, Britain, we've got, I mean, look, guys, I'm very critical about the British military. I am. I'm really critical about the British military because I think we've made some very bad decisions. If Putin rolls in, none of that's going to matter. It will not matter. None of it's going to matter. And you know all these people with blue hair and all the piercings? Settlers, go back home. Palestinians. Yeah, all you guys, real quick, you guys are going to become patriotic. Because you know when you guys have the real threat of bad guys coming over and doing bad stuff, and then you start looking on the internet and thinking, oh, those socialists, those communists, they're doing really bad stuff. I don't want bad stuff done to me. Maybe socialism's not such a good idea. You guys are going to have a real, and look, guys, like I've said many times, the first casualties are going to be the liberals. They are. The first casualties are going to be the liberals. And then we've got, then we've got, sorry. I do think conscription's coming, guys. I don't think it's going to be cold conscription, but I do think it's coming. Anyway, let's talk about the second front. Front two. So we've got the external front and we've got the internal front. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have been following Nostradamus said by 2025, Britain will be facing an external enemy and an internal enemy. I'm struggling right now, guys. I'm struggling to see how Nostradamus knew that this shit was going to go real. Anyway, so front two, the second front for the United Kingdom, we have the internal front. So the boats are not going to stop. They are not going to stop coming, guys, okay? Our hotels are full. Our prisons are full. Our schools are full. The NHS waiting lists, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, have you tried to get an NHS appointment lately? And every town square, everywhere you look, people are saying the same. People are talking about the same thing. People understand what's coming. So we're not talking about when. Sorry, we're not talking about if. We are talking about when. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, what time are we on? I'm going to close you guys down on TikTok in a second. Before I do that, I'm going to get some comments on YouTube, and then I'm going to go to the toilet, and then I will jump back on to you guys. So good morning, everybody. Oh, listen, guys. Nostradamus also said England would be half sunk and flooded. Right, banned again. Would it not be fair to say that England is already half sunk? Would it not be fair to say that England is flooded? You guys know what I'm talking about with the double meaning. Would it not be fair to say that England has already been flooded? Oh, hang on a minute. Some people are... Right, guys, I'm just going to jump up in a minute. Right, there's lots of messages here. Right, guys, I'm just going to jump up and then I'm going to come down. Right, banned again. Oh, hang on. In fact, you know what? I'm going to start with VNG. Right, listen, guys, I do apologize. Like, the chat has gone absolutely crazy tonight on YouTube. It's gone crazy. In fact, I'm going to start with Tracy Doherty. In fact, no, I'm going to start with John Paul. John Paul is saying, I'm not going to start with John Paul. I'm going to start with James. He's saying it will be like Star Wars. Us rebels with a couple of Jedi Knights will take on the evil Empire. May the Force be with you. Emma Green is saying the lion is starting to roll very quietly at the moment, but it's getting louder. Libby Widger, hello, Libby, is saying, where do you think in Eastern Europe it would be fought on British soil? Where do you think in Eastern Europe it would be fought on British soil? That doesn't make sense, Libby. Libby, can you articulate that a little bit better? Because you're saying, where in Eastern Europe would be fought on British soil. So I don't understand what that means. Like, where in Eastern Europe is British? I don't know what that means, Libby. You're going to have to... John Paul is saying equity is communism. It absolutely is, guys. It's communism. Communism leads to socialism. It's ridiculous. I don't want my girls to be taught that at school. Lots of the messages are not in the chat box, but appear on Sean's screen. Right, guys, listen. The chat's gone crazy tonight on YouTube. It has, guys. It's gone crazy. Tracy Doherty is saying, then wait till the war starts. 4 wars with... Then why wait till the war starts for war within to start, would it be best to rise now and get this war before? All right, okay. Tracy, yeah, that's not how things work, unfortunately. You know, that is not how things work. Yes, you are right. But the reality is that's not how things work. You know, I've got a leaky gutter. I've got a leaky gutter right now. I'm going to wait until that leaky gutter's collapsed before I fix it. And that's just reality. Right, guys, I'm going to jump down. Wow, the chat's gone crazy. Four Paws is saying Upton on the Wirral Remembrance Day was cancelled due to health and... Oh, that's terrible. This is not stop. Right. Is that? I saw that on the internet actually today. So listen, guys, for you guys who don't know, there was a Remembrance Day parade, and I think this is brilliant, guys. Honestly, like today I saw something, and I witnessed something, and I felt something I don't think I've ever felt it before. There were local businesses there, and they put their money into this. And what do I always say about, look, guys, I don't want to make this live stream about economics. I could run this country's finances like far better than Rachel Reeves. I would kick out every penny of international investment. I'd say, thank you very much, but fuck off. We don't want you. Oh, but Sean, the economy's... No, it's not. No, it's not. I am going on this. I am going down this road, guys. I'm going to try and keep this quick. Something that's always been a trope of this of my live streams is to grow the economy, to make people rich, we need to grow local businesses. Because what happens is when you get a local business, and the thing I give you guys, although I may give you this one in the future, is when you grow local businesses. I know a local business. I know the guy. He done some work for me before. Quite a lot, actually. And I think it was last Christmas or maybe the Christmas before. They did really well, that company. So they gave all their staff. Imagine this now, guys. Pretend you work at this company. The boss, he's like, right. He looks at his numbers. He's like, right. His name's Steve. He's like, right, yeah, we've done really well this year. I'm going to give all my staff an extra £1,000. I'm going to give them £1,000 bonus. Everyone across the board, everybody gets £1,000. An extra £1,000 in there. Can you imagine, like right now, wherever you work, can you imagine an extra £1,000? Like, I don't know how he gave them. I don't know if it was a bank. I don't know how it was a bank transfer or whatever. But can you imagine that just before Christmas, your boss gives you a £1,000 bonus? He's like, look, guys, he gets everyone in. He's like, look, guys, we've done well this year. Thank you so much. The company's growing. We're growing as an organization. I couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you so much. As a show of my appreciation, we're still going to have the Christmas party at the pub. I'm not going to mention the pub's name, but also here's £1,000 as well. That is what growing local businesses do. Let's switch and change that to an international business where their only concern is to fill the pockets of their international investors. Do you think those people would get an extra £1,000 investment? Do you think those people will get an extra £1,000 bonus? I would say not. You know, and then today when I was at the Remembrance Day parade, there were local businesses sponsoring this. They'd buy, I don't know how much these cost, maybe like a couple of grand or whatever, not much, but they bought bacon sandwiches, sausage rolls, vol au vents. There was like little, there was quite a few cheese sandwiches as well. I do love a good cheese sandwich. You know, all of those little trays with the salad, and there was tea for everyone. When you empower local business, when you grow local businesses, when you grow local communities, they become strong. And that's what the government does not want. They don't want people being strong. They want people being weak. They want people being meek. They want people to be reliant on the state. Right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, guys, I do need to nip to the toilet. What we're on 34 minutes, guys. I'm going to nip to the toilet. I'm going to close you guys down on YouTube, on TikTok. You've not done anything wrong. I just want to have a carbonated drink. So I will, when I get back, I'll be going a little bit further, and then I will be jumping over to YouTube. I will be streaming over on YouTube and exclusively on X. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go for a wee. I'm going to come back and I will be back. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all those things, guys. If you've not done so already, I'll be back in 2 secs. Oh. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking around. Right, let me jump up because I had... All right, okay. Libby Widger. Thank you, Libby Widger, for throwing that... So Libby Widget is saying, where do you think in Eastern Europe would this war be fought if not on British soil? Okay, so first of all, there's going to be battles fought in Ukraine. I don't think the Russians can. If I let me just get the map up. Libby, I'm going to give you guys a map appreciation. Let me just do this real quick. Right, so Libby's question here is where do I think these battles are going to be fought? And I'm going to share with you guys the war map right now. You guys love the war map, right? So this is Ukraine right now as it is. This is let's just have a look how Pokrov's is doing. Yeah, Pokrov's is not doing very well, guys. Okay, once that's gone, it's pretty much game over for up until the River Dnipro. So what I think is going to happen is, when you talk about, when people talk about tactics, strategy, one thing that people don't, people kind of don't give as much, not credit, people don't give as much significance to the ground, to the actual geographical features on the ground. Now, unless you're a lunatic, you cannot say that there is not this massive river running all the way down through the middle of Ukraine, down to the down to the Black Sea. Now, just look at the size of this river, guys. I know I'm going on let's just say this. I mean, look, I'm not even going to go for that because that seems a bit unfair. So let's just measure this here. And now let's just measure this let's just go from there to there. Now, of course, that is not the widest point, and it's certainly not the shallowest point, but that's 15.6 kilometers. Can you imagine an enemy force mounting an attack over 15.6 kilometers? Forget about it. It's not going to happen. Absolutely not. Not in a million years is that going to happen. further down here, where are we? So here where we're talking about the real war, the real conflict and the real likelihood of the Russians having to mount an attack over this river. Let's just go here. Let's use the ruler again. Let's just say, where's the ruler? Ruler. Right. Let's just say there to there. You're looking at 2.2 kilometers. 2.2 kilometers. Just forget about it. Like, if anybody thinks that you can mount an assault over a 2.2 kilometer wide river, forget about it, guys. It's not going to happen. It's a bad day out. It's just not going to happen. So now you've got to conceptualize the actual battlefield. Right now, here, this region of Pokrovsk is going to fall. You're going to get all this region here to the east, and then the Russians are going to make it really quickly up to the River Dnipro. But I don't think the Russians are going to have the capacity or the will to cross over the River Dnipro. 2.2 kilometers. It's not like you can just throw a bridge in. What does Batman use? The tumbler or whatever it was. It's not like you literally need ships. You need amphibious landing craft to go over 2.2 kilometers. And it's just not going to happen. Not in a million years. So what I think is going to happen. So I'll give you two scenarios, Libby. The first one is, and I think this is the most likely, the Russians are going to make it up to the Dnipro. At that point, the Western forces are going to come in, and they're going to move. Western forces are going to move in. The Ukrainians will be at the front. The Western forces will take this northern corridor and these rear echelon tasks, training, mentoring, and then the Ukrainian nationals, I guess, would push forwards and take these regions. So that's where I think the first battleground would be, where NATO forces would be involved. And then the second battleground, I think, it's got to be this town here of Rzeszów. So you've got this town here of Rzeszów. Now, I'm not really going to go into Rzeszów, but in Rzeszów, and I'm not giving out any information that's not already available on mainstream media, social media or whatever. Rzeszów is the town, I think it's, town or city, whatever. I think it might be, no, it's definitely a city. It's got an airport. So Rzeszów is the closest town to the Ukrainian border, Rzeszów is the closest city to the Ukrainian border with an international airport. So there's a lot of NGOs, there's a lot of military hardware, there's a lot of logistics in Rzeszów because of that proximity to the airport. So I do think that the first country to be attacked outside of Ukraine will be Poland, and in Poland, I think it will be areas within Rzeszów or Rzeszów Oblast. So it might be like, in the surrounding area. Anyway, that is my speculation, ladies and gentlemen. That's my speculation. Right, let me jump back onto the chat. In fact, let me close you guys down on TikTok, actually, first. Libby, I hope I answered that question comprehensively enough for you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you're on. I never know what questions I'm going to get asked. I never know what's going to come up. And look at the granularization of look at the granular answers I give you guys. Look how in-depth I go with these answers. And if that's not worth a like, comment, a subscribe, bell notification, I don't know what is, guys. I really don't know what is. Unless you want to see me have a press-up competition with Alex Jones. Do you want to see me have a press-up competition with Alex Jones? Because I'm down with that. Right, you lot on TikTok, I'm going to close you guys down now. If you guys want to jump over, I'm The Real Raven 1 on YouTube. I'm The Real Raven 1 on X. If you're not going to jump over, then you're not going to jump over. There's nothing I can do. But if you're not going to jump over to YouTube, guys, I will be back on tomorrow morning at 10. 100%. Yes, sir. I will be back on tomorrow morning at 10. But I would like it if you jumped over to YouTube. I would. And if you hit that follow, like, subscribe button, that would be great as well. Anyway, guys, I'm going to close you guys down now on TikTok. And I will just be streaming on YouTube. And I will just be streaming on X. Like I said, I'm The Real Raven 1 on YouTube. And I'm The Real Raven 1 on X. Right, let me close you guys down. Right. Those guys, I believe, are gone. Yes, they are. Right, let me turn that off. This is where we are now, guys. This is what we have to do. This is what we have to do because the algorithm's an absolute swizzler. And I can have a little drink. Yeah, still carbonated. Silly Gallardi is saying, Sean, I read the UK sent military to help Belgium with Russian drones. Yeah. So the Royal Air Force has sent a couple of guys over to Belgium to help with the drones that are seen, these drones that keep popping up by these airports. I'm not convinced that these are Russian drones. I think they were the likelihood is that these are terrorists planning an attack. But yes, Silly, you're right. The Royal Air Force have sent over a few people. I don't know the exact number to deal with the drone threat. Right, hang on, because I need to get... Donna is saying, UK and Germany have accused Russia of threatening their satellites. Right, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so before London, Germany, and the United Kingdom have warned of the growing threat posed by Russian and Chinese satellites, which have been regularly spotted spying on satellites. Yeah, okay. So what happens is, and this has been going on for a long time, ladies and gentlemen, look at the questions I'm getting. Look at the questions I'm getting, and look at the granular answers I'm giving. You guys, and you guys have not liked, followed, subscribed, comments, bell notification, all those things. And you guys have still not become members. So, Donna, yeah, this has been a problem for a long time now. Space warfare, satellite warfare, it's a big thing. So we don't really think about this because we're down on Earth, but up there above us, there's a load of shit going on. If you can see where your enemy is, can pretty much defeat them every time. There really isn't a caveat of that. Go back to the First World War when they were using balloons, Second World War, aircraft, reconnaissance aircraft, Third World War when we're using satellites. So in space, surveillance satellites are on easily predictable orbits. That's a thing with an orbit. Once you get a satellite into space, it's very difficult. It's very expensive, actually, to change that orbit. If you don't change the orbit, it just keeps going around. Do you want me to go into orbital dynamics? Sorry, not orbital dynamics. Orbital dynamics, I guess. Where's my 8-ball? So imagine this is the planet, all right? You've got satellites going around it, and they're using gravity. Gravity, Newton's second law is keeping those satellites going around that planet, Earth. They don't need any extra energy, which is predictable because it's a constant speed, a constant altitude. You know where it is. So what the bad guys are doing is they're saying, right, okay, what we're going to do is we are going to put another satellite on the exact same orbit behind you. It's called a chase. It's called a chase satellite. So now you've got, you can imagine how expensive these things are. Billions of dollars. They have now got Russian satellites or near-peer adversaries. Donna was saying Russians. These satellites are chasing them. So now you've got these satellites orbiting the planet, and then another satellite chasing it. And all it takes is a little delta V, and that satellite will hit the other one. So that's what we're talking about with the space warfare, and that is a real thing, guys. It's a big problem, and I would speculate. Obviously, I don't have any inside information on this, but I would speculate that all NATO military satellites have a chase satellite. I would just speculate that. In 2017, there was a big there was a big call for proposals on how to operate in, what was it? I can't remember what it was called. It was definitely, it might have been 2018. It might be even 2019. I don't know. I think whatever, 2017, whatever. Listen, guys, a lot of this stuff, I don't know what the questions are going to be. And I give you guys, and this is all off the top of my head. I'm not Googling anything. There was a big call, and all the Western governments were saying, right, how do we operate if our GPS satellites get taken down? Now, at the time, everybody was saying, and I do think this is still a main threat. So you've got satellites that are spinning around the Earth, and then you've got geosynchronistic geostationary satellites. Now, a geostationary satellite is different. So a geostationary satellite would be a satellite that is in geostationary orbit with the planet. So it's moving at the same speed as the planet. So that satellite is always above London. It's always above Belgium. It's always above Munich or whatever. Now those satellites are easier to take out because you can just use a rocket, and like the Russian S-500 is more than capable of taking one of those satellites out. So now you understand. Space warfare. Space warfare is going to happen. And when we're talking about a potential war with China, the first battles with a war with China will be in space. But let's wind this back, because this is a question about the European front. So now you've got all this sorry, guys, 2017, 2018, there was a big call out to military contractors, private companies. What is the solution? And the solution from everybody unanimously was, I was involved in this, the solution was to, rather than have these big geostationary satellites that are really high up, really easy to target, you have a lot of smaller, low Earth orbit satellites, thousands of them rotating around, orbiting the Earth, And the good thing about that is, because there's thousands of them orbiting the Earth, if one gets taken out, you've got lots of redundancy. Also, if 1, 2, 10 get taken out, they're very small, they can be relaunched very quickly. Does that sound like Starlink to anyone? Does anyone think that sounds like Starlink? Does anyone, or is it just me? Anyway, guys, so yeah, that is like space warfare. I hope I've, Donna, I hope I've responded to that sufficiently. Right, let me jump up. Where are we guys going? Where are we going, guys? Rian G is saying, oh, right, okay, that's not for... John Paul is just saying yes. I don't know what that's about for. And Donna is saying, Angel, I've nowhere to go, to be frank. So unless my house catches fire, I'm staying. Oh, Donna, where are you? I'm sure we can get a spot for you, Donna. I'm sure we can get a spot for you. Okay, I'm struggling. Right, okay. Right, hang on. Oh, okay. Duchess is saying, Sean, isn't China building a large self-propelled water bridge barges that couldn't Russia use those to cross the river? Okay, so first of all, I don't know what China's building. Could it cross that river? Potentially. What you've got to understand is, could it cross the river while the Ukrainians are firing missiles at it? Probably not. Probably not. And then how do you get that thing into country? There's a lot of logistics. One of the things that I think we were successful in this channel by doing is bringing the, not the realities, but bringing, I think realities is the best word, actually. Bringing the realities of war, explaining the realities of war. Yes, country X may be developing some sort of fantastic wonder weapon that's going to do all this great stuff and it's leaps and bounds in front of everyone else. Okay. What's the reality of getting that thing deployed into a workable product? And those gaps are massive. So, you know, maybe the Chinese are developing some sort of large self-propelled water bridge. Maybe that's true. Will that work over 2.4 kilometers? I struggle, guys, with the physics of it, just the physics. I also struggle with the, will it be able to work while the Ukrainians are firing missiles at it? Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to go a little bit, excuse me. I am going to give you guys, so I want to give you guys some Raven maths now. I think I should have done this at the beginning of the live stream. I do. I think I should have done this at the beginning of the live stream. So if you're on right now, ladies and gentlemen, and you've not done so already, can you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification? That really does help this channel out, guys, okay? And for the guys who become members, we will be doing more members videos every day. We do members videos every day. Little members, members only. Well, hang on. Hang on. Russia strikes hit power substations that supply 2 nuclear plants, Ukraine's foreign minister says. I think this is a little bit old. I think is that in the last couple of hours? Google Ono, Musolono. Right, guys, listen, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a monologue now. I'm going to give you guys another monologue. You're getting 2 monologues today. So, you lot, you know I love my Raven maths, right? You love Raven maths. Everybody loves Raven maths. Raven maths is a type of maths that doesn't necessarily make sense, but it always works. And that, I think, is Raven maths. It doesn't always make sense, but it will always work. 100% of the time, 50% of the time. So let's just start with the basics, guys. I'm going to talk about illegal migration into the United Kingdom. And I know we're jumping topics, guys, but please bear with me because in the United Kingdom, we will be fighting a war on 2 fronts. We're going to be fighting a war on 2 fronts, guys. We're going to have the war in Europe and we're going to have the war on our streets. Now, I don't want to enter this little you know what? I think I need to do this as a standalone. I'm going to do this as well as a standalone video. I'll upload this. But I want to do this as I just want to throw this out there, guys, and give you guys some Raven maths, okay? Illegal migration into the United Kingdom, all right? Let's just start with the basics. I think that's actually all right. Now, if you live in the United Kingdom and if you're a taxpayer, you will be terrified of this budget that comes, especially if you're like, if you work for yourself, you're self-employed, you've got a limited company, you're just trying to make ends meet all the time. Let's start with the basics, all right? We've got a budget coming up in like 2 weeks or whatever. It's Stranger Things Day. We've got Stranger Things being released and we've got the new budget. So taxes are already creeping up in the United Kingdom. Remember that 22 billion black hole? Can you guys remember it? I know I can. When the government came up and said, Rachel Reeves came up and she said, I know we said we wasn't going to raise taxes, but we found a 22 billion black hole. So we're going to have to raise taxes because we inherited this from the previous government. And then every opportunity, this Labour government have raised taxes. Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because some estimates that I've seen online, and I need to caveat this, guys, this is my own mathematics, go and do your own research, okay, for entertainment purposes only. Some of the researchers I've seen online are claiming that the black hole has now risen to over 100 billion. So they inherited 22 billion, and in less than a year, or just over a year, I guess, they have turned that 22 billion deficit into 100 billion deficit. 100 billion, guys, okay? That's not like a rounding up error where you say 4.99 is £5. That's like national emergency shit, guys. That really is national emergency, wearing a suit and pretending everything's okay. Rachel from accounts is nowhere near qualified to deal with this, all right? Now, layer on top of this, illegal migration. I'm not even talking about legal migration now, guys. I'm talking about like boat migrants, people overstaying their visas, like illegal people who should not be here legally. And look, ladies and gentlemen, let me be clear. I'm not here to demonize people who are wanting a better life for themselves. I'm here to just give you guys the sheer numbers. And in 2022, when I left Ukraine, I actually had to leave with the refugees. And it was women and children. They were terrified. They were fleeing with just literally all that they had because the bad guys were coming. So I'm not demonizing people who are genuinely fleeing war. I'm not. 100%. I'm not. I never would. I am totally like for those people. But we have to talk about the cost, And I'm not demonizing anyone, guys. I'm giving you guys Raven maths, the hard, cold numbers, all right? Just tell me I'm wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, in the chat, please tell me I'm wrong. I am going to do a standalone video about this because I do think this is important. Someone's paying for this, ladies and gentlemen, and that someone is you and me. It's the nurses working double shifts. It's the pensioners choosing between heating or eating. It's everybody in the United Kingdom now who is trying to make ends meet. We're all paying for this bullshit. We are all paying for illegal migration into the country. That's the reality, because the number has to come from somewhere. That money has to come from somewhere. Or we're paying for it with inflation. We are paying for this, guys. Now, here's the numbers that keep. Honestly, guys, these numbers are phenomenal. If you don't we yourself right now when I give you these numbers, then you're not human. So here's what I found, and you know what? I'm gonna give you these numbers, and then I'm gonna fact check this, and I'm gonna come back. Okay? So here's the numbers that are floating around the internet right now. Okay? So each migrant. Well, here's the number, guys. Okay, £41,000. That is the estimated annual cost to the taxpayer, you and me, of one migrant for 1 year. £41,000. I would speculate that some of you guys do not earn £41,000. And if you don't earn £41,000, why should you be paying £41,000 for somebody that's just come? Why should you be paying that? I'm going to go with maths now. So when I saw this article, I had to fact check myself. So I did a quick Google. I went to the internet off AI, and I put in how much does each. I'm going to share this, guys. I'm going to share this with you right now. I will share this with you because I think this is key. So let me share this with you. So I'm going to share my because there's two reasons, but the main reason is I don't want to get Lucy Conlid, okay? So, how I spelt it all wrong because maybe I'd had too much drink. So the question is, how much does each illegal, spelt wrong, migrant cost the UK taxpayer per year? Now, these numbers are very difficult to find. Guys, okay? So asylum seeker accommodation hotels, the cost of housing asylum seekers in hotels has been estimated around 8 million a day. Nearly 3 billion a year. Now, this is compounded. This is getting compounded. Every year, this is adding up. So that's what AI is saying there. The average cost per asylum seeker in accommodation, an estimate from 2023, so I would say this estimate's gone up, indicated that the average, and the reason it's gone up is because more people want to jump on this bandwagon. More of these international companies think, oh, well, maybe we can get this. They'll look at the laws, they'll look at the legislation, they'll look what politicians are in charge, and they're just screwing us, guys. So an average cost per asylum seeker in accommodation, an estimate from 2023, indicates that the average annual cost of housing support for an individual while their asylum claim was being processed was approximately £106,000. So I was well wrong. So you know when I was saying 41,000, I was well out with that. It was more than double. However, I've got to be fair. Other reports mention figures of around 40,000 to 54,000 per year just for hotel accommodation. Now, I think that's key there. So let's just go with the numbers I said, guys, okay? Let's just go with the numbers I said, 41,000. So, but look, guys, when I said 41,000, let me stop sharing, actually. So when I said each migrant that comes over costs 41,000, I was like, right, I need to fact check that. When I fact checked it, I was like, Jesus, it's actually AI is telling me, and that is like the Google AI is telling me that this is a lot more. So these are very conservative numbers, guys, all right? These are very conservative numbers. So let me carry on, all right? So let's just consider that every migrant, that every illegal migrant, every one of those guys that turns up on the shore, wanting a new life, maybe they're a criminal from another country, maybe they've just been released from prison, maybe they're a terrorist, maybe they've just committed a crime in another country and they just like, yeah, I don't really fancy going to prison. I'm going to come to the United Kingdom because I want my 41 grand a year. That is actually a low number, all right? So now this obviously, this encompasses housing, healthcare, welfare, education, legal processing. And, like I said, guys, this is not a one-off. It's not just like they come and here's your 41 grand. That's every year. Every year that they are here and they're fighting their case and they're going through this process and this lefty lawyer says this, 41 grand a year. I've done my calculations at 41 grand a year, but as you guys have just seen, this is actually costing us a lot more. And look, guys, I'm not throwing dirt on anyone. I'm just saying the maths. I'm just giving you guys the maths, okay? Tell me I'm wrong. And you know what you can't do? Nobody can ever tell me Raven Maths is wrong because Raven Maths, at some point pretty soon, Raven Maths is going to be taught at school. It is. It's going to be taught in advanced mathematics. It doesn't always make sense, but it's always right. So let's do the maths then, guys. Okay, so for 10,000 migrants, who can tell 10,000 migrants at 41 grand a year, that's 410 million. 50,000 migrants, which I think we're at now. I think we're already this. Let me Google this real quick. So, I'm not going to Google it, but I think we're at about 50,000 migrants have come to the United Kingdom so far this year. is just over 2 billion. For 100,000 migrants, it's 4.1 billion. Now I'm hearing that we have at least a million illegal migrants in the United Kingdom right now. So that's like, what is that? Like 40 billion a year or something. And now we're talking about black holes. You see where I'm going with this, guys, okay? So we're not talking about 100,000 total or a million total. We are talking about this compounded year on year. Every year we've got to pay these guys. And look, whether you're pro-migration or anti-migration, whether you've got blue hair and all the, face piercings, or whether you've got a skinhead and it doesn't matter. The maths, the numbers don't lie, guys. The numbers don't care about you. The numbers don't care about your wokery. They don't. Numbers don't care about your wokery, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter. The numbers don't care. So obviously, let that stack against 100 billion deficit that we already have, adding net zero costs, NHS backlog, crumbling infrastructure, crumbling water, crumbling electricity, crumbling gas infrastructure, defense spending. How long do you think we have left? Mathematically, somewhere there's like somewhere somebody's done these maths, guys. I don't know what the answer is, but somewhere someone's done this maths and somebody's wrote out and they've said, yeah, we're fucked by this year. We are fucked. We're gone. We're done. At this year, we will not have enough money to pay these back. And at that point, those people that we have in this country, you see where we're going, guys, on a mathematical standpoint? We're fucked. Absolutely fucked. Fucked by the diddly swacked. This is not about being cruel to anyone. If you want to come over from South Sudan or whatever, I totally get that. Why would you want to live in a mud hut where you can live in a 4-star hotel and have 3 meals a day? I get that. Mathematically, ladies and gentlemen, all right? At some point, the expenditure is going to outlay the the outlay is going to, we're not going to be able to make ends meet, okay? The outgoings is going to outstretch the incomings. That is the hard, cold reality, ladies and gentlemen. That is the inevitability there where we're going. Right now, I don't see an end to this. So at some point, mathematically, and look, guys, if you're on here and you're pro-migration and you want more migrants in the United Kingdom, absolutely fine. I get that. I love you. Let's go and have a beer together. The reality is, the maths does not add up. I don't care about where you're from. 2 + 2 is always going to equal 4. That's the reality, all right? So the maths is not going to add up. Now, like I said, it's not about being cruel. It's about being real. It's about looking at the numbers, looking at the true numbers. The debt is going to compound. Services are going to collapse. Social contracts are going to be non-existent. And then what? You get the anger. You get why people like me are sending out these warning messages to everybody. We've seen it before, Rome, Weimar, history doesn't care about good intentions. History doesn't care about equality. It doesn't. Mathematics does not care about equality. If you think 2 + 2 is not fair, maths doesn't give a fuck. It's still going to be the same solution. If you think that people should come to the United Kingdom and get 41 grand a year, everyone, as many as we can take, guess what, Buttercup? Ain't going to happen, because at some point we're going to run out of money. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know when that's going to be, but it's going to happen. Now, how long can we keep, like, honestly, guys, if you live in the United Kingdom, how long can we keep how long can we keep this up for? Another million? 10 million? 100 million? Let's just bring the whole of Africa, let's just dump the whole of Africa into the United Kingdom and give them 41 grand a year. Let's just do that. Do you think we could do that? Okay, fine. Let's just bring the whole of Africa, dump them in Surrey. Let's just bring the whole of the Middle East, dump them in Yorkshire. Let's just bring everyone, guys. If you want 41 grand a year, just come to the United Kingdom. At some point, we're going to implode, guys. I promise you. I'm not talking about morally, although I think that's already happened. I'm not talking about politically, although I think that's already happened. I'm talking about financially. If you're stood there, right, at the pub and you're buying everyone drinks and you've only brought 100 quid out with you, at some point your money's going to run out. That's the reality. At some point your money is going to run out. Now, financial collapse right now in the United Kingdom, guys, it's not conspiracy theory. It's a spreadsheet. And that spreadsheet is like, I know spreadsheets don't flash, but if a spreadsheet could flash, you know how you put the values in, you're like, yeah, if you put X, Y, and Z and those don't add up, that shit's going to be in the minus. Yeah, that's going to happen. That is the inevitability, guys, okay? And that spreadsheet, not conspiracy, it's a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet is not conspiracy. It is flashing red right now. And look, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have the answers. I don't pretend to have the answers. Somebody will have the answers, somebody with a lot more information than me, and they will be looking. Oh, I'm not excited. They'll be looking at the situation in the United Kingdom right now and they're saying, yeah, that is the exact date that they are fucked. 100%. Like, if I had the information, I could put this into a spreadsheet. I could. If I had the information, if I could go to government and say, right, give me this, and this, I could put that into a spreadsheet with the date along the top and say, yeah, that's when we're fucked. Right there and then, that is when we are no go. Maybe that's the war date, guys. Maybe that's the war date. Like I said, I don't have the answers because I don't have all the information, but I do understand the inevitability of what is coming. Pretending that these numbers don't exist, guys, for Rachel Reeves, Keir Starmer, it's not leadership. It's denial. It's absolute denial. Now, I wish I could dig into these numbers. The reality is I can't, because I don't have the real numbers to present you guys with. But from what I've presented you tonight, well, in that little opening, it's not an opening monologue. From what I've presented you guys in that monologue just there, financially, how long have we got to continue, guys? It's not sustainable. And that's the reality, guys, okay? It is not sustainable. I'm going to do this I will do that little monologue there as a video, I will do that video tomorrow as a standalone video. I may change the maths. I may change the numbers to represent what I found on AI. But equally, I may not. I think the numbers are fine, to be honest. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, right, guys, listen. So if you are on right now and you've not done so already, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, because all those things help me out. Mike Millman is saying they are doing this for the Fabian Society. They're doing this for absolute destruction. Sean, do you think savings are... No, I don't. Guys, I don't think savings are safe in any banks. Oh, God. Googleino is saying 4 girls struck by fireworks are in critical condition. Slim is saying... Right, okay, hang on. Where is it? Right, okay, what? Somebody said something about savings in a bank. Right, who said something about savings in a bank? There we are. KK is saying, Sean, do you think savings are safe in a bank? Look, ladies and gentlemen, okay? I think this... Okay, let me caveat this, right? I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not qualified to give you financial advice. I'm really not. I don't think money in any bank is safe, per se. Ultimately, those banks can close their doors and turn their computers off, and you ain't getting your money out. Now, I think the safest way that it depends how much money you've got. I know the government say that your money is guaranteed, I think up to like 50 grand or something. So if you've got like 100 grand, put it in 2 accounts. I don't know. What I would say is food, water, fuel, those things are going to be real currencies. David O'Rourke is saying, thinking migration is bad now, hypothetically, or when Russia hit the ports in the Baltic states, Europe, the migration will be 100 times worse. Yeah, I think so as well. Slim is saying something will happen and the balloon will burst. Then we will do what we have to. We may have no other choice but to fight for our lives. That brings me, like, honestly, guys, that makes me think of what Elon Musk said about violence is upon you. You either fight or die. I mean, it was pretty powerful. Sean, did you hear about the judge who supported the freedom of speech for people slagging off Islam? Well, I don't think anyone should slag anyone off. I don't think... No, I've not heard about that. I would say that I'm going to speculate, Emma. I'm going to speculate that they were not the judge's words, all right? I'm going to speculate, Emma, that they were not the judge's words. I know there was something going through about the Islamophobia thing, and I just think it would cause more problems for the government than it would solve. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to start to close this. I'm going to have to start to close this down now. You guys really have been fantastic this evening. The chat has been on fire tonight, guys. It really has. The chat has been absolutely on fire. You guys have been fantastic. So, listen, guys, I am going to close this down now. The crux of this video was just, the storm clouds really are gathering. We're going to be fighting a war on 2 fronts. We're going to be fighting the war in Eastern Europe. We're going to be fighting a war on our streets. All this sort of stuff is absolutely crazy. I guess you should look at the positives, which is, wow, what an absolutely time to be alive. Like, if you're alive right now, imagine the stories you're going to be telling your grandchildren. They're going to be phenomenal. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, listen, guys, I'm going to close this down now. Like I said, you guys have been fantastic. Thank you for hanging out with me this evening. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, bell notification, all those things that help this channel grow. I will be back on tomorrow morning at 10. Yes, I will, good sir. I'm going to go in the house right now. I'm going to have a brandy. I'm going to have some cheese. I'm going to have some crackers. I'm going to sit in front of the fire and think about what a swizzle that we have. Look, a few of you guys were talking about money. I'm not a financial advisor. What I will say is food, fuel, water, You can use that. You can't use a bar of gold. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again for hanging out with me tonight. I will be back on tomorrow morning. And of course, I'll be keeping you informed. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.